Hi, welcome to Kleeto's Employee File Management Solution. Today, I will walk you through the online interface of Kleeto through which the HR team members can log in, browse, view, see employee files and the documents within an employee file. Just to quickly give you a background on the solution that we provide to our HR partners, whenever there's an engagement with any organization, the employee files, which could be digital or physical, are picked up from your locations, brought to Kleeto for processing, where they are scanned in case they are physical files. They are indexed and tagged to a page level, and then they are uploaded onto the Kleeto interface. And then as end users, you and your team members can log in and browse, view, see, download, share these records based on the access rights which have been defined onto the platform. There can be multiple users who can be created. There's no restriction in the user creation. And these users can have predefined access as per the discussions that we've had with the user team at the time of the SOP, the initial SOPs that we do with you. The physical files are also stored with Kleeto. In case that is required, we have a physical warehousing facility in Noida where your physical files can be stored. And as and when required, you can request for any physical retrievals, and the physical files can be handed over back to you in the stipulated timeframes agreed with you. However, our experience has been that once you go digital and once you have your files digitally available with you, to access to the physical files is bare minimal, and at times it does not even happen. I'll log in into the interface and walk you through the demo. This is a dummy demo that we've created for our customers, and there'll be a lot of documents which would be dummy documents. But the idea here is to give you the walkthrough and be able to showcase our functionalities which is available. The first user who's created onto the platform is a super user, somebody who has access to all the functionalities and all the employee files and all the documents. I'm logging in as a super user into the platform. Once I log in, by default, I'll be landing onto the admin interface area. This is the admin interface that I come to. And there's a different interface for most of the HR users, which is called the HR dashboard. This is the second interface through which you can search and see employee files, right? So the first interface that you came to was the admin interface. This is the admin functionalities where a super user can see MISs, reports, create users, see security logs and activity logs, etc., etc. But for most of the users, they will click onto the HR dashboard. There's a new tab that would open up, which will be allowing you to search employee files using employee ID or an employee name. Let me just quickly walk you through this. I'll give you an idea as to how this interface works and then spend some 5-10 minutes onto the admin interface, the earlier interface that I showed you. So I can search using an employee ID, which is the unique identification code of an employee who's working with your organization. Let's say I search for an employee which is with the employee ID KL00002. So let me just punch that in, KL00002. And when I search, this is a digital file that opens up for this employee called Sumit Kumar. What you see onto your screen right now is the digital file cover of this employee. It will have all the details which we pick up from your HRIS, and those are published here. And this is completely configurable based on whatever details you want to see onto the platform. You'll also have the picture of the employee here, and all the details are published here. Now, within this employee file of Sumit Kumar, in case you want to see the documents, then there are two ways to look at the documents. There's a simple way where you can just look at all the documents listed, and you can just click onto a document, and the document will be able to load on the right-hand side, and we'll see the document here, right? So file tags are all the documents here. In case you want to see a specific document, you can click on the document, and the document loads on the right-hand side, and you can just view the document on the right-hand side here, right? That is one view that's available to you. From here, once you see the document, you can download the document and you can share the document in case that is required. Downloading of the document can be done either as a complete download or a partial download. Partial download is possible because in case you have a 10-page or 20-page document, maybe an NDA or an agreement, and you just want, just 1 or 2 pages to be downloading from the document, then you do a partial download, or else there's a complete download that's possible onto any onto any document, right? So that's one functionality on a document that you can download. The other is that you can share it with anyone. So typically in any HR scenario, there will be some 5 or 10 or 15 users from the HR team who will have login IDs and passwords, credentials. They can log in, view, search, and see these records. But outside the domain, in case somebody other than the HR team members need a specific document, they request the document to be shared back with them, and the HR team members can, rather than downloading and then sharing, can share it directly from the platform. Sharing of the document can be done in two ways. You can share this either as a link or as an attachment. Link is always a time-bound link, anywhere between 3 hours to 49 days. So I choose that when I'm sharing a document, I share it for a certain period, and then I can send it to the person, put in the email ID here, and the document can go to that person. So this is one way of sharing. The other is I can send this as an attachment, whereby the other person will own it and work on it as and when required. For further safety of the document, I can secure this by putting in a password here that can be shared offline with the person that I'm sending this document to. Only then that person will be able to open this document. So that's how you can share a certain document. There is also something called a compliance rule that is available. Compliances are primarily the completion status of an employee file. So what happens that, for a lot of our customers, there are mandatory document checklists which are configured in the system, whereby based on the checklists, we will be able to tell the user team that how many files are complete and how many files are incomplete, right? So these checklists are something which are mandatory document lists. For example, in an employee file, there could be 50 documents, but out of those 50 documents, you just need to check some 10 or 15 documents which should be available in an employee file. So based on the list that you share with Kleeto at the time of SOP discussions that we do with you, we will configure these rules in the platform, and based on the rules, you will have the status, whether the file is complete or incomplete. And these compliance check rules, these completion check rules can be as many as you may want. This could be for different regions, you may have different check rules. For different levels, you may have different check rules. For different positions or different functions, you may have different check rules, right? Now, based on the rules, you'll know whether the file is complete or incomplete. Just to give you an example here, when I clicked onto the compliance rule, this further opened up. I can see two bars here. One is a green bar, the other one is a red bar. In a view, I know whether the file is complete or incomplete. When I see a green bar, it says the file is incomplete. And the reason it is incomplete is because for active lateral hire, the system was configured to check these 5 types of documents, which was a PAN card, a joining document, address proof document, education documents, and previous employment record documents. And the reason it is complete is because all these documents are ticks. They are available in a file, and hence the compliance is a complete compliance when it comes to your active lateral hire. But for active lifecycle hire, lifecycle documents, it is incomplete. And the reason it is incomplete is that some of the documents are missing in this file, right? So that's how the compliances are configured, and that's how the view is available to you. And coming back to the so that was one view that I gave you. The other view is, there is a flip view that is also available, whereby you can open the file as a flip file, see the way you would look at a physical file, you will flip it from page to page and go backward and forward. Similarly, you can also have a digital flip that's available to you, whereby you can move from page to page like a physical book, and have that comfort level coming into you to look at a file as a binded or a complete file, right? So you can do that. That's the second view that is available to you. I can go forward, skip pages, look at all these documents which are in an employee file and go through them one by one, right? I can go backwards in case I need to do that. That's possible. I can skip to a page directly from here. I can just punch in a page number and I say I want to go to page number 10 directly. That is also something that's possible. Or else there are thumbnail views which is available on the left-hand side, and from here, in case I want to reach a document directly, I can also do that, right? So just by looking at a document, I click onto it, the document loads on the right-hand side. This is the other view. This is a flip view that is available to you. So there are two ways you can look at an employee file. There are other MICs and reports that are available. The first being the completion status of your employees. This is the compliance that I was telling you about, whereby all these 7 rules are configured here. Based on these rules, I know that there are so many files complete and so many files incomplete. That is something that's published here. I can download this report as an Excel, which will tell me that for active lateral hire, there are 12 complete files, 2 incomplete files. And at the end of the report, it will tell me the completion status, whether it is 100% complete, 70% complete, 80% complete, and so on and so forth, depending upon the documents which are available and which are missing in these files. Now, the system also is intelligent enough and it's capable to send email alerts to your active employees, informing them in case there are documents missing in the files and requesting them to share them back with the concerned HR team members. That can be configured in the system, and that is also something that is possible, right? So for any document which is missing, you can alert your employees and request them to share them back with you. This is again something that can be configured based on the need and the requirement that you defined at the time of SOP. And for all these rules, there can be different configurations, right? So let's say for first rule, the configuration says that email has to go to an employee with a copy to maybe a line manager. And you can set a hierarchy because there are 4 emails that can be sent. So in case I send one email, first email, and the employee does not share the document back, then maybe after 5 days, 6 days, I can shoot the second email with a copy to the business head, right? The third email, in case the document still does not come in, can be copied to maybe a HR SPOC, and the fourth can be copied to maybe a HR head. And accordingly, you can take necessary action if required, right? So that's how you can set the system to automatically configure and send email alerts to your employees, informing them of any documents which are missing. The system is also capable enough to inform the internal SPOCs in case of any agreements and contracts which are there in the agreement. So for based on the expiry date, which is tagged to an employee file or to a certain document, the alert can be sent again from the system, informing the concerned SPOCs about the expiry of a certain document. And this can be pre-configured based on in case you want to send an email 60 days before the expiry, or 30 days before the expiry, or 10 days before the expiry. That's how the system can be configured, and the emails can be sent accordingly, right? Other than this, in case there are any specific MICs and reports which are required by the concerned HR team members, that is also something that is possible, and we can configure it accordingly and bring it online onto the platform, and you can have such reports which are published onto the HR dashboard, right? So this was more of the HR dashboard view, that I gave you. And then there is another view that I was telling you about, which is the admin view, right? So here, as an administrator, as a super user, as an account owner, you can come and perform multiple functions, and those are what is mentioned here, right? So, the structuring of the folders is something that's available here. So you know that how the documents are structured and what are the tags which are associated. For example, when we structure any employee files, they can be tagged according to active employees, inactive employees, HR employee files, or top management employee files at top level, which can be further divided into, let's say, in case you have based on multiple zones and locations, you would further divide it in zones. Zones can be further divided into cities. Cities can be further divided into functions, and functions would have further subcategorization, which would be levels. So you may have level 1, level 2, level 3 files, designations associated with these files, and then you will have the employee files resting under these. Employee files are also further divided into smaller units, which could be documents related to your joining, documents related to your personal information, education-related documents, background verification-related documents, compensation-related documents, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the structuring that is done. Again, reiterating, this is completely customizable at the time of SOPs, how we define it, and this is always unique for any customer that comes online, right? So that's how this will be configured, and that's something that will be available to you. This is just for demo purposes that we are showing it to you. So that's how the structuring is done. The structuring is done so that tomorrow when you create users and want to give access to your team members is how you will be able to give access. So some of the users will have zone level access. Some of the team members will have city level access. Some of the team members will have function level or designation level access. And that is how it will help you in giving access to your team members, right? Again, as a super user, the entire inventory is available to you, which can be downloaded as an Excel, which will tell you at any time how many employee files are on Kleeto, and within these employee files, how many documents are on Kleeto. So I can have download at the complete level right from day 1 to today, or else I can cut and slice this based on my needs, which could be, let's say I want to just look at a month's upload on Kleeto. So I can just cut and slice this, look at only for 1 month and check for August 21 how many files were uploaded on Kleeto, right? So that's also something that we can cut and slice and just download that report, right? So that's possible. Then users is something that I said earlier can be created multiple users, and you can define access, right? So you can add user at your own end. You can put in the login ID, the email ID, the name of the person, and define what is the permission that you have to define for this person. You can have only view access that can be defined. You can have download and share access along with view, or else you can have a physical retrieval access assigned to multiple users, and that's how they'll be able to view, see, download, and share documents, right? And once you define access, you also have to define that what is the access that I have to give to this user, which can be done by user permission, whereby once I create a user, I can give him or her access at a certain folder level. So I can define that this user, I can either give access at the top level, which means the entire organization files would be available to him or her, or else I can just drill down and I say within Active, I have to give this user access to only North files, or within North, I have to give this user access to only Delhi files, right? So that's how the access is controlled. And when I give this access, I can also have a time-based permission whereby I can define that this access is available to a certain person for a certain period of time, after which the access would go off from the system, right? So rather than me manually remembering that, I have to remove a certain access for a certain employee, which would be internal or external, I can just do it through the system. This time-based access is something that can be used with your auditors. It could be internal auditors or external auditors, where out of 1,000 files, maybe the auditors need to see some 40, 50 files, and you give only that access to that auditor for maybe a week's time, right? So the person need not come and do physical audits on your physical files. Since this is already digital, everything is available digitally, the person can just sit in his or her office and audit the files based on the time that is assigned to him, right? So that's how you can create unlimited users, define access, and also have a time-based access, which is controlled here. Then there is something called an activity log, which is more of a security log that's available to you, whereby you can see that within my team who has logged in, what all functions they've done onto the platform, whether they've downloaded any documents, shared any documents, all those things are recorded here. This can be again downloaded as in complete Excel, or I can cut and slice this based on what I want to see. So I can just look at one user, or I can look at some actions, or I can just look at a time frame and have that report coming into me, right? So that's the activity log that's available. Activity log or a security log is something that stays on the system forever, right? Nobody can delete it, not even a super user. So it stays on the system forever. Then there is something called a compliance report. So in case you recall, in your HR dashboard, I showed you the compliance status with green bars and red bars, which told you whether the file was complete or incomplete. This is also something that is pre-configured in the system, and based on the rules that we define, we will know whether the files are complete or incomplete. And as I said earlier, these can be as many rules as you may want to define onto the platform, right? And based on these rules, the reports are available, the discrepancies, the documents which are missing is published, and they are red flagged. And subsequently, the active employees can be notified, informed for the missing documents, and in turn, these employees can share the documents back with the concerned HR SPOC. So your physical, verification of files where it was once a year sort of a job and it was a cumbersome, lengthy process is just a click of a button. You'll have the reports available to you. So that is the compliance status reports available for you. So that is it from Kleeto, and that's how you can have a view of the employee files, and that's the interface that is available to the HR users. Thank you so much for looking at this video, and have a great day. Thank you.